I'm calling this meeting to order. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? It's 6 o'clock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, we have open forum. We have no one that signed up for. Is that correct, Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Watts, board members. Good evening again, Ms. Watts, and board members and community members. It's with great honor that we're going to recognize our Donna High School as well as Donna North High School wrestling competitors. A lot of them made it to state, and actually we do have this year a state champion. And it would be, I think it's the fourth or the fifth in the history of the Valley that we have actually state champion wrestler. So it's my pleasure to introduce our coach. Coach, are we? Congratulations again, Coach.
Thank you. Again, thank you for having us here this evening. Coach Cardenas, along with Coach Marcus Bowen, Coach Amanda Valdez, Coach Ana Castillo. I'm not sure she'll make it here. Girls, come on in, girls. These are our 2020 District 16 5A District Champions. Ana Martinez, Aicha Garza, Neira. We have Carla Cruz, Kayla Yanes, and Precious Hernandez, our state champion. There's a couple of other girls that are at other events. They couldn't make it tonight. But again, I just want to acknowledge these young ladies for the hard work and dedication they put into Donna High School and for their community. I know one thing they always preach, and they always make sure that when they go to war, they go to battle, they go to compete, that they're doing it for Donna and DHS and the Bravettes, and the community pride is huge. So these are the foundation of our team. It's sad we have 5 girls on our squad that will be graduating this year that have been here since they were freshmen, working at different levels, and you see them grow. And as freshmen, some of them were district champs as a team. And I know last year we spoke about how can we get the district championship back and also have a state qualifiers, thus relating to the state champs. And the hard work that the girls put in the off season and throughout the year, I think put us in that position. So again, I just want to congratulate them on their district title, and I think that's an awesome case here for the girls. If you don't mind giving them a round of applause. We're also going to take this moment to acknowledge Precious Hernandez. Precious has come back from the state tournament just full of emotion, full of a lot of pride. I know she's been interviewed by most sports reporters in the Valley. She just did a photo shoot on Sunday where she's selected as the monitors doing the first annual all-regional wrestling team. And she's actually the MVP for the girls on that. So that's pretty awesome that it's the first time they host it. Plus we have a state champ who will be the MVP, and that's a big accomplishment. That's going to be coming out running events here coming in the near future. And there's some other accolades that are going to be coming up our way too. Like sometimes we think as coaches, hey, we're working every day. We're presenting what needs to be presented for these kids to be successful. At the end of the day, hey, you get the state championship, and we don't realize sometimes that that's such a great accomplishment. And she understands now that, hey, she goes down in the history books, and in Donna High School, she's very proud to represent the school and the community. And she's realizing how much of an opportunity it was to be given that. So I think a lot of the younger girls are excited to see it happen because they know that, hey, they wrestle with her daily on a daily basis, and she's a firm believer that if she can get out there and accomplish what she did, then anybody can do it, right, Precious? You have anything you'd like to share with everybody? Okay, I know she's been doing a very good job of communicating to everybody. At this time, I also want to acknowledge Coach Valdez. Okay, Coach Bowen. Coach Bowen was selected at Region 4 as Assistant Coach of the Year, where he gets voted on by all the coaches from basically Leander Glen, which is north of Austin, and all through Austin, Uvalde, Beeville, the Corpus Christi schools, of course, the Rio Grande Valley. It's a big tournament. It's probably the biggest tournament in all of South Texas. That's the regional meet. Okay, it's you got to go qualify at regionals to be able to go to state. So at the regional meet this year, it's one thing about coaches. As he's coaching, he's not only coaching our kids, it's a community out there. There's kids from all over the Rio Grande Valley that really appreciate his words of wisdom. And at the regional level, I believe that a lot of the coaches there got to see some of these relationships that have taken place over the past few years, and of course the success that not just Donna's having. This is success that we try to. It's not just. It's more for South region and South Texas as a region. Okay, so we really need to. Yes, we want our kids to be at the forefront in that, but in being the leaders that we are, we're also leading the rest of the valley also. So we as we go up to the bigger tournaments in Austin and in Houston, we're also motivating everybody else from South Texas to get out there and to be on the podium. Be on the podium at the state meet. That's the ultimate goal. And I think with Coach Bowen's accomplishment, everybody's noticing that, Coach. Thank you so much for everything.
If we can take a picture of everyone, but I want to just say that it was an exciting, it took about 2.5 minutes for her to pin right? But it was like, for me, it wasn't there, and I spent some time with the coaches who are excellent coaches where they're motivating her, but she was very calm, very quiet, like, you're about to go and wrestle, you're okay? And she was like, no, that's the way I prepare myself. And then those 2.5 minutes for her, took her 2.5 minutes to win the match and win the championship, probably were the best 2.5 minutes. I mean, I watch anybody like compete, and it was awesome. So thank you, and thank you to the coaches, and thank for everyone really for making this happen, representing our district really well, and thank you to our board members for their support, obviously, for making sure our athletics is being taken care of and supported. So.
Yes, thank you.
Now, want to take a picture with our board members?
Hey, now you look taller than me. You grew. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Don't go. Congratulations. Good job. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us a chance.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Multiple opportunities for
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir, for providing.
All you guys, you all thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, sir. Coach.
Congratulations.
Awesome shot.
Congratulations, ladies. Great job. Awesome job.
We should have breaks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You'll play
play it right when we're ready to go.
Or do you want to have it popped up so you just put the one answer?
We're going to be showing. So we'll just click it. Okay. Good evening. My name is Deborah Medrano, and I am the principal for Donna ISD's New Early College High School.
And I'm Kristen Keith, an English teacher at Donna North High School.
So our superintendent is usually the one who comes before you once a month on a Tuesday evening to highlight the many successes that our students and staff experience. But tonight, it's his turn to sit back and be highlighted for the many milestones that he has accomplished since becoming our superintendent.
He has implemented 2 magnet schools and an early college high school, a new brand and logo, an 8% increase in the district's overall academic performance, a superior financial accounting rating, 13 additional CTE career and technical education programs, 7 additional high school credit courses offered at the middle school level, a district-wide college and career fair, a superintendent student scholarship golf tournament, which is coming up on March 28th, right? A 5-year strategic plan, laptops for every teacher, Chromebooks for middle schools, and iPads for elementary schools, the streamlining of business operations.
So it is because of these bold initiatives, his countless hours of hard work, his passion and his dedication to our students' success that our amazing leader, Dr. Aziz, was chosen as a recipient of the 2020 Distinguished Educator of the Year Award by Sam Houston State University, where he earned his doctorate in educational leadership. There were over 100 nominees, making Dr. Aziz's selection even more special. Beyond these accomplishments is the character of his leadership that has truly earned him this honor. He is described by those who have worked closely with him, ourselves included, as caring, knowledgeable, skilled, a thinker, a planner, and a true visionary. His leadership is truly invaluable to Donna ISD.
There is no doubt that with his continued guidance, Donna ISD and our students will continue to aspire to be, aspire to lead, and most importantly, aspire to succeed. We'd like to show you a video from some of his colleagues who have been inspired by his leadership.
Dr. A is a very caring individual. He cares about everyone's opinions, and whenever he makes a decision, he puts everyone's perspective in mind.
You would not know that he's not from here. I feel like from the day he got here, he has embraced Donna ISD and everything that we desire for our students.
Dr. AZ is an amazing leader. He's a true visionary who really has the best interest of our students in mind.
A lot of change was needed in Donna. Dr. Aziz has been very successful. Change is not easy. A lot of times change causes a resistance. And I think that Dr. Aziz, the way he goes about it, he's soft-spoken, but he means business. He's sincere, he's passionate, and I think at the end of the day, people see that where his heart is. He's not looking for glory, so to speak, or anything like that, but he's very determined to move initiatives forward and to provide the students and faculty and community here at Donna with the very best.
Dr. A has done a lot for our district in a short amount of time that he has been here. Just some of the things that he has done. 2 of our elementary campuses are now magnet schools. They were already existing schools and the kids absolutely love it. And he brought the strategic design committee to give the district a path to follow to make sure we narrow our focus on where we want to go.
He has been at the forefront of providing our students opportunities that they never had before. For example, in the early college high school, students will not only be able to earn a high school diploma, but they'll also be able to earn up to 60 college credit hours or up to an associate's degree, tuition free at no cost to students and no cost to parents.
The population in our area needs
extra support in many different ways. And one of the ways that he's provided that is by offering all-day pre-K 3 and 4. Initially, they were supposed to only have it at so many campuses, but they already had to expand that program within the first year of enrollment. And I know as a high school teacher, down the road, that's going to benefit me because those students are already going to be learning and they'll come in with an increased vocabulary.
What makes him different from previous superintendents, he actually holds meetings with both student councils from our sister high schools to talk about any innovations or improvements needed for the school district.
He listens to what the students have to say, to what the teachers have to say, to what principals have to say. I don't feel like I've ever seen him not hear out what someone has to say, especially if they work for the district. He also does the same for the community members, the parents, and the people that, you know, this district is so important to. And I love that about him. I think it states to his character.
Very few people can go into a district that is just really, really struggling and successfully turn it around. And he's done it really in a remarkably short time. He's got down on the right path.
I think Dr. King said it best when he said that Dr. Isaias is not here looking for glory, but we really did want to showcase all of his tremendous hard work, and kudos to him for being the recipient of this very distinguished award. Thank you.
Wow, that was powerful. Well, thank you, Ms. Keith and Ms. Maderno. But it's not about me. It's not about any individual person. This district it takes a village, and it's our board members working together with them. It's our teachers, our staff, our custodian, our bus drivers, our everybody coming together really, and to make sure our students are being taken care of. So. Yeah, but thank you very much for everything you do to make sure our district is progressing and moving forward.
Dr. Aziz,
Thank
so
you.
I just want to say thank you and how proud we are of you and all the leadership that you have brought to this school district. I mean, just what you shared is a reason why you're recognized, and I'm so glad that you were recognized because you have really poured yourself into our community, our district, and I agree with Ms. Keith. It's, you know, we embraced you, and you're, feels like you are from here, and so I just thank you. There's so much gratitude that I have, and I'm just so proud because when you look good, our districts look good, and at the end of the day, we are seeing real transformational change for our students.
Thank you.
And that is inspiring.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for standing strong with all of us.
Thank you.
It's hard work, but it's good and rewarding work that we do together.
Thank you.
But again, it goes back to you because you are the leader. You are the one that makes all these big decisions
Yeah.
also. So for that and everything that you have done, and from all the board members, and if they would like to say something too, I'd be more than glad to
Thank you.
entertain that, because I just want to congratulate you from each and every one of us.
Thank you so
If anybody
much,
wants to
Ms.
go
Watson.
ahead and say something, they're welcome to do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to thank you for providing our students multiple opportunities to experience success at all levels. The additional programs, everything that you've brought in has positively impacted our children. And basically, that's what I thank you more for, because we continue to put students first, as we
Absolutely.
should in every school district. So for that, I profoundly thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valdez. Thank you. Thank you so much. As I said, takes a village, and I couldn't be more blessed to have a very strong and supportive board. But as I said, it takes everybody coming together, from custodian to bus drivers to our child nutrition, cooking a great meal to our students, to everybody coming together, our leaders, our teachers, our TAs, everybody. I mean, everybody, when we come together, and like Dr. Valdez said it nicely, put students first. That's how our district flourish, and I think that's really the key to the success that we're doing right now. Everybody behind the same vision, and taking care of our students and putting them first before everybody else. Thank you. So as you remember, we have two of our students are veterans, along with Mr. Gonzalez, our robotic teacher. They had a nice story. I think I shared with you the story that Channel 5 did on them. But our own Mrs. Quintanilla and Mr. Freddie Gonzalez went out and also did this nice video that I would like to share with you about their story. I don't know if you know, but they were recognized by URGV engineering, the engineering department. The dean of the engineering actually hosted an event special for them. They acknowledged them and they talked about the possibility of giving them a scholarship. Also, they were they were invited to go to San Antonio, and they attended an international STEM conference in San Antonio. And not only they attended, they actually were kind of like a guest speakers, were part of a panel, and they were really at I guess some of the highlights of that conference. I mean, even other Region 1 folks who attended, like, were so impressed. Like, we didn't even know that we had students who were invited there that represented not only Donna, but represented the entire Region 1. They were the only one from Region 1, so it was a very exciting. So we did this quick video I want to share with you, if you don't mind.
We didn't have a plan to do this. It kind of just fell into place. One of the students had made a comment, "What is that 3D printer for?" And we had used it in the past for real small projects for the robotics club, but nothing ever to the extent of what we did with Nathaniel. And when he had asked that question, he's sitting there without his hand, it kind of just, it was like an idea, like a light bulb. I looked it up briefly and I saw, what are the possibilities, can you really do it? And sure enough, there was people that were doing it. So I asked him, without researching more, I asked him, "Nathaniel, would you feel comfortable if we, tried to pursue this?" And right away he was very supportive. He said, "Yeah, absolutely." One of the other students, Ray, who's in the robotics club, he stepped up and he said, "I can look it up on, these websites, and there's, different organizations and communities that share files." So sure enough, we found something that looked like it would work, and we began printing it out. After, a few weeks of printing out different pieces and putting it all together and getting the right materials, we felt like we were almost done until it was assembled. We realized it was extremely big compared to the proportions of his other hand. So we had to go back to the drawing board and rescale it into a smaller size, which had its complications as well. Because once you change one thing, well, everything else changes.
There was a lot of mistakes and a lot of perfect times that happened. Sometimes it was for the hands that we made, it came out perfect, but it was really, really rough on the inside. When you see the final outcome, it's aha, there's that light that turns on, and there's that satisfaction that you get from seeing what you created from nothing. And I think them seeing the beginning process to the end and seeing how, something can come from nothing, I think that's where they get the excitement from.
The first time I tried it on, I felt kind of weird, but out of practice mode, I feel like it's like part of me now. Like, I don't even feel that's there.
Is that as far as you can bend it?
I feel excited and happy about that I can do things with my right hand, because I never thought ever in my life I would have a prosthetic hand.
He's able to navigate through his book, turn pages. He came and told me that he was excited that he opened the refrigerator, which is something that most people take for granted. He's able to pick up small things here and there, as long as they're not too heavy.
They tell me that they're happy because I can finally use my right hand, and that I can give high fives and do handshakes.
And even now, they're looking at ways to revise. And now that everything seems to be working good, they came in and made replacement parts for the future. In case it were to fail, they can have those parts on hand and change them out. It's really neat what they've done, and I'm really proud of them.
As I said, I think last time, it's not only about talks about the talent that our students have, but speaks also to the caring, the humbling, how humble our students are, how, so they didn't have to do it. The other student Ray didn't have to do it, but he cared for his friend so much, and he wanted to make an impact and help him out. So they spent countless hours looking at the internet and trying this and trying that, and they finally were able to come up with something that will work. But again, it's not just about the talent and the resilience, it's about also the caring and how humble our students are. And so that's really something that amazing about our community and about our students. So.
Guys, I want to tell my own personal story when I met Nathaniel. I was during the Board Appreciation Week. I was invited over there, and I don't know if you all remember that big rocket that these guys all built for me as part of the appreciation. I went over there to thank them, and Nathaniel and Ray were there. And they said, "Oh, we got to show you something." And, I saw the hand, and it was like, wow. These kids did it on a $500 printer. $500 printer. And they were able to create this magical thing for Nathaniel. And I mean, his self-esteem has really risen quite a bit. So, I just want to tell you guys, be envious of me because I was the first one that shook his hand. So I was the first one to shake the hand that, they're just taking it out. And like I said, I want to thank those guys for having taken their time, the teachers that take their time to do the things that make a difference in these kids' life.
Yes, sir.
So
I just want to add that when we tap into the talent and attributes that the students come to school with us, they are able to go out there and really solve world life problems. So I commend the teacher and I commend the campus, because that's really a phenomenal story. That's evidence of, bringing the talents that our students bring from home and utilizing it. They can solve world-class problems, and that is a true reflection of that, right there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Evidence of that.
Absolutely. All right, absolutely. We are moving on to March 2020 monitoring report, and for this month, according to our calendar, we'll be looking at board goal 3 and superintendent constraint number 3. And it talks about the percentage of a graduate demonstrating college career military readiness will increase from 43% to 90% by 2023. Now, I just wanna, before we go through the numbers, and I know I sent the last year as well as this year reports, and some of you, I think in the email I mentioned, pretty much there's a difference. TEA changed the way the accountability system works. So when it comes to CCMR last year, they used to give credit to districts, what's called a 1 point and half a point. The 1 point, you usually take it if you take, you get your industry certification. Half point, you get it only when you do what you call the sequence. So it's coherent sequence, which is a quick, couple of courses, but you don't necessarily earn the certificate. So the TA said, we're not going to count that anymore. So we're not going to give you the half point credit anymore. We're only going to give you 1 point if the student actually earns an industry certificate. So you can see, and I will give you the numbers to compare last year to this year. That way we can put things in perspective. So in goal number 3 again, there are three GPMs. The first one talks about the TSI and the percentage of students who will master or pass the ELA, reading and mathematics. And we want that number to go from 19 to 43%. GPM 2 will talk about the industry-based certificate, and we want that to increase from 9 to 20. And the last one talks about AP, IB, and do accredit and associate degrees, and we want that increase from 38 to 60%. So as we look at the overall goal, which is really the most important thing, is to look at the overarching goal. You can see that our goal is 60% at the end of this year. Last year, we ended the year at 63%. When we were presented last time, goal 3, back in December, we were at 35%. So you can see that there was a 12% increase, and we are about 13 more. We need 13 more points to get to the 60%, which is our goal. But our hope is to exceed that. Now, this 45%, this 47%, if we use last year accountability system, will be at 58%. Because of that half points that we're not actually using or getting credit for by TEA. If they were considering the half point credit, we would be at 58%. So nevertheless, our goal is to reach and exceed the goal, the 60%. Looking at TSI, we have 11% of our students took the TSI and successfully completed and passed the TSI in both reading and math. Remember that they have to pass both. They have to take the reading and pass it, and then they also have to take the math TSI and pass it. Otherwise, we don't get credit, and they don't get credit. As far as the industry certification, our goal was 15%. We are already at 24%, and more of our students are actually taking this certification, industry certification. The AP and IB and dual credit, this associate degree will increase from 38 to 60%. Our goal is to be at 48%. We were at 24% in December, and now we're still at 24%. Keep in mind that our students who are taking AP courses and dual credit, they are still taking those courses, and we won't be taking those final exams and earn the credits until the end of the year, until the end of the semester. So this number, we expect this number obviously to increase. This is just a breakdown by campus, and you can see for Donna High, Donna North, 3D, and overall. And you can see that overall at Donna High, we have 217 who already earn it. For Donna North, 269, and then 21 in 3D Academy. And overall, we've seen an increase in every one of our high schools, including 3D. So that number is going to keep increasing, but it's increased already from last year to this year at this time. So we feel that we are going to proactively monitoring CCMR students in advance. We have like a Google, like a Google form or where we track every student. Our counselors, our principals, have access to it. So as the students earn this industry certification, we update that. So we track it and monitoring and make sure those numbers are increasing. We also adding college prep courses at the high school level. We're going to increase the SAT. I was talking with Mr. V, and he's actually having some kind of camp for SAT to make sure our students are prepared to take the SAT test. And so there's a TSI prep sessions at all campuses. We are using Imagine Math, also has like a TSI, ACT, and SAT component that our students can access and use to prepare for those tests. So we continue doing that. And I think this is for this year, but obviously with the opening of our early college high school next year, the goal is to see these numbers obviously increase, right? So this is going to help us really reach higher and higher goals. Let's see. As far as constraint for goal 3, the superintendent shall not allow excessive staffing ratio in the district. The percentage of the district budget spent on staffing will decrease from 81 to 75 by 2021, and we're not seeing any decrease or increase. I'm sorry. So we want to be at 78%. Keep in mind that this is we did have. Increase or raise to our teachers and staff, and that kind of like increase our percentage that is spent on payroll, right, for this year. So we're working hard on. Obviously, we want to continue providing our staff, our teachers, everyone with a very competitive compensation, as we would like to always recruit and retain the best of the best. But this is number one. But we're working with Ms. Cancino as we plan for the end of the year, and obviously for next school year, to make sure that this number also stays kind of low. We don't want it to increase. Any questions and anything?
I don't have any questions, it's more just a comment.
Yes.
Some time ago, I know that you all had given us some data on CTE, and I'm looking at like the trend, more like a trend analysis, and the number of certificates have increased
Yes.
significantly, so have the number of certifications and licenses, as well as the number of students enrolled.
Yep.
So just the only, I guess, maybe comment that I want to make, if maybe we can look at staffing, because I don't know, as an organization,
Yes.
I don't know if we're overstaffed in some areas and understaffed in other areas.
Yes.
Or maybe we could look if this particular department may
Yes.
need more personnel. We certainly don't want to create positions, definitely not.
Right.
But there may be overages somewhere. Do you see where I'm going?
Yes,
So
yes.
Maybe we can.
Absolutely, and
look at
we,
that.
absolutely, and we can look at it. Keep in mind, Dr. Valdez, that some of this CTE requires a certain certification.
Right.
So it's not like, you have like, making, if you are like have a 4 through 8 generalist certification, you're not going to be probably able to teach some of the CTE courses. You may have to be specific certification, right? As a teacher, you need to get the particular certification in order for you to teach certain CTE courses, but that's something we can look into it. I know one of the conversation I had with Mr. Moreno as well as Mr. Rana is we want to offer more at the middle school, where they actually can earn, our students can actually earn some certification in the middle school, because right now, we offer some CTE courses, but they are not toward any industry certification. We want to bring that down to the middle school, where they actually can start, our students can start earning those as early as the middle schools. And that most likely will have to add a couple of teachers, obviously,
Right.
but most likely will be certified in certain areas, depending on those certifications.
Right, but I know with spring coming around, I'm sure Dr. Sorola's going to be looking at
Yes.
staffing. So for example, if we have like 5 extra
Yes.
English teachers, that maybe those and if they're needed at CTE, maybe those 5 PCNs could be closed and 5 new ones.
Yep.
Do you see, kind
Yep.
of just balancing out the organization?
You got it.
in general.
You got it.
Because I'm seeing that he's got, like in 2014-15, there was 1,883 students.
Yes.
As of this year, they've got 3,732. Certifications in 2014-15, 335. This year, they're projected to be at 1,000.
Yes, right.
So I just want to make
That's
sure
right.
that they have the
Absolutely.
corresponding staffing.
Absolutely, and we're talking also about providing some more support to the CTE department as well. So we would be working, and I had a meeting again with Mr. Moreno, and they have a couple of ideas, but definitely something that we're going to be looking into with Dr. Valdez.
Thank you, sir.
No, thank
That's it.
Just one question. One thing I was curious about was the Texas Success
Yep.
Initiative.
Yep.
My understanding is that students have to pass those in order to get into the dual credit courses, correct? So how do I was just curious, like, what does our early college, high school
Correct.
happening, like, how do this, 11%, how do we negotiate, or is there like extra programming for students that are going to early college, high school? Like, how does the TSI partner with, or how is the early college, high school going to help us prepare more students to be passing this? I guess that's my question.
And I can have Ms. Madrano answer. For our early college, high school students, they'll have to take the TSI and pass it. I think the rule says they have to take it they have to pass it within their first semester, right, of taking that.
Well, in order for students to even begin taking college courses, yes, they do need to be TSI ready. It depends on the course, but the majority of the courses require that they do pass both reading and math. There are some, like maybe like a sociology course or like a speech course, that don't require for the students to pass both, but the majority of them do. Your English 1301, your math 1340s, yeah.
So is it a possibility that a student might be interested in the early college, high school, but ultimately not pass the TSI and therefore couldn't attend early college, high school? Is that
So they can still attend early college, high school, because the blueprint does state that a student can still try to accumulate some of those college credit hours, or we can funnel them in through CTE. That's where CTE comes in. So maybe we can funnel them in through CTE. So what other districts do is when a student is not successful with the TSI, then they put them in a pathway that's more geared towards earning an industry-based certification versus the academic route and earning the associate degree. So I'll be working very closely with Mr. Moreno to make sure that we meet both the academic and the industry-based.
Don't we already have students in 8th grade that are already taking Algebra 1 and what's the other science class? Biology.
Yes, so I know that in speaking to Mr. Rana, I know that some of those kids who are already advanced in mathematics or even taking English 1, they're trying to funnel the TSI prep towards they're trying to funnel it down to the middle schools.
I can add, we are being very proactive. Last year, we started with the 8th grade students to prepare them at the end of the year. After the STAR assessment, that they are successful in both reading and math, and they have a certain score. So we are preparing them for the TSI, being proactive. So this year we are going full-fledged. Last year was our trial, learning from the system, how it goes. So all the students, they will be successful in the reading and math, and they have a certain score. We already made our curriculum, and we train our teachers, and we are going to prepare our students so that they go to early college. Our hope is more than 35, 30, 40, 50% students, they're already college ready. So that's our goal is from our middle school. So we are started last year, but this year we are going to go. Last year the teacher was not trained on time, could only doing math, could not doing reading. So this year we are prepared to launch our full initiative.
So we started last year, and Mr. Rana was saying, we started offering TSI at the 8th grade level last year. And I think that's what you're referring to, because some of our students who took Algebra 1 last year and who took the TSI, passed it, they took
60% of the students that has a TSI math.
Yes, so they actually they took some of them actually as a freshman sitting right now taking college algebra.
Okay.
And that's how we did it, because we offer that TSI test in the 8th grade, but there wasn't like every 8th grader per se. These students were already like taking advanced courses already at the middle school level, and in 8th grade we give them the test.
One thing is they are college ready, they can start taking the college classes, but we do not get the credit on this report until they are seniors.
Right, these are the graduates.
It's the only thing. So we will get this one on when they are coming to the pipeline, like a 10th grader, 11th grader, but they have not reached there yet. So it will take a couple of years to see what is happening in the pipeline.
So what it makes me think is because we're, in the process of revising our student outcome goals, what it makes me think is maybe one of the goal progress measures, instead of the goal progress measure being the percentage of graduates meeting TSI, it might be the percentage of students 9 through 12. You see what I'm saying? Meeting TSI. Because right now the goal progress measure is written around just the graduates.
Correct. Correct. We're only looking at seniors.
Isn't that done by the state though? The measurement?
No, they're talking about the CS, you're talking about House Bill 3, right, Mr. Gerard?
Right.
It's House Bill 3, I think, what he's saying, maybe the way it's set up in House Bill 3 for CCMR only talks about seniors, and that's something we can look into it, sir.
But we have the flexibility in the superintendent setting the goal progress measures.
For the
we as a
district.
board could say, we want to track progress towards all our students meeting TSI. We don't necessarily have to do just a graduate moving forward.
You're talking about GPM 3.1, right?
Yes, correct. That's the one I'm thinking. Anyways, that's what this is getting me thinking about.
Definitely, and we talked about it, like some of the initiatives that we adopted, we'll see the fruit, not necessarily right away, like we talked about the pre-K 3, pre-K 4. Our students are hopefully they're learning, right? So by the time they get to 3rd grade, because that's what House Bill 3 says, what is the percentage of students who are reading on or above grade level? Well, if they are pre-K 3 or pre-K 4, it's going to take them 3 or 4 years to get there. So we won't see the result or the fruit of this investment, if you will, in our students until later on. Does that make, and the same thing with our early college high school. we will see the seniors, and obviously in 4 years, you're going to see them hopefully up there, right, when it comes to.
But that's what I'm
meeting.
saying, like, even next year, if the goal progress measure was centered around the number of Donna ISD students
Right.
who are TSI ready, it would, as a board, we would be tracking progress towards that overall picture, not just.
Correct.
the
So then we would not actually be looking at TSI numbers, we would be looking at our Don ISD numbers as how many kids have already passed that. exam.
Right.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's just a different way to look at the data, depending on how we want to.
Because right now we're looking at the percentage of graduates.
Correct.
Correct. Only
Exactly.
seniors in that report.
Only seniors.
Only 12th grade students. Okay.
Anyways, just something for us to.
Thank
be
you.
Talking more about that eventually.
Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Make the motion to accept. I'll second.
Exactly at the same time.
Accept. Accept.
Accept.
Accepted. I also accept. Next, we have discussion and possible action to vote on Board of Directors.
Oh, Robert also,
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't
Mr.
hear.
Pettis voted to accept the report as well.
Okay. And Directors of Region 1 Education Service Center. In your packets, you have a secret ballot. If you could just fill it out and turn it in to Ms. Gonzalez. If you could just fold it up and give it to her, please.
Ms. Watts,
On this-
I don't know whether we went on record as acknowledging that Mr. Pettis is with us, but he's
Yes, I
on
just heard about that,
teleconference.
sir. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So is Ms.
Oh, that
Ms.
one.
McMahon as well.
Dr. McMahon also.
Right. I think she's offline.
I know how Mr. President vote.
Does he want to tell me?
Is she? She's not.
Does Robert want to tell me who he wants to vote for? Can you tell me, do you want to tell me who you want me to?
On the ballot?
I don't know, does it need to be in secret or what?
One of them doesn't have enough.
There's only one option for one of them, so.
Then that's the only option we have.
Okay, and then what about the bottom one?
That's fine.
No, but which one?
No, but the
Okay.
motion can just be to approve the
Yeah.
submittals as submitted by each trustee. It doesn't have to
Okay.
be done this second. Because there is an action item.
So does he just email it to Terry who he chooses?
Okay.
Mr. Pettis, if you'll just email your selection to Ms. Gonzalez, then that, it can be formally your vote. Okay?
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you. So, motion passes.
No,
We need a motion.
motion to approve the submittals as submitted by each trustee.
I make the motion to approve the submittals as submitted by board trustees.
Second.
Motion, okay, go ahead.
In favor?
Motion made by Dr. Valdez, second by Mr. De Los Rios.
In favor?
Mr. President.
Mr. Pettis is in
Mr. Pettis?
favor.
In favor.
And also vote in favor, motion passes. Next we have consent agenda. If there's any questions or clarifications on the consent agenda, then I would need a motion.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. De Los Rios, second by Dr. Valdez. How do you vote, Mr. Guerrero?
In favor.
Ms. Reyna?
In favor?
I also vote in favor.
Favor.
And motion passes. And Ms. Roberts? Yes, sir. Okay. we have- Okay, now we have governance by Mrs. Linda Romero. Conservative monthly report for January 2020.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Azayis. Today we have the January report. I just wanted to point out that it changed a little bit in the front page. TEA made a few changes. The entry conditions haven't changed at all. The monitor conservator role, they just went ahead and paraphrased there what I can do. The action plan, that's kind of mine, and it can change throughout the whole process, what I'm looking at and things that I'm addressing. And things will change as board meetings and the district has its business going on. Then the action plan achievements, what I'll do is I'll just keep adding every good deed that you do that I see that I was addressing as action plan. Like the instance of the school first, that was one thing that was covered. You've done a lot of good things, let me point it out. But they told me you can't go back all the way back because I've been here already going on 2 years. And you've done all the manuals and the audit on time and so forth, but I picked just the recent things from January forward to address. And I'll be adding things as they happen. And then my challenges, what I was saying in there was hopefully sometime in the near future to see your health insurance program operate in the black. I'm hoping that I get to see that before I leave here, that at some point.
Us too.
that you don't have to subsidize it with general fund money. And then the board members to refrain from providing inputs, revise employment practices, policies addressing employment of family members. I'm very happy to see that you did that. We had some issues at prior board meetings on the employment practices, but you've addressed it without even a question in there, and it's part of your consent agenda, so I'm very pleased with that. And pretty much everything, the other thing was I could rearrange the order of how this is presented. So I put you in the forefront, governance first. Since you're doing LSG, I'm addressing that first. So pretty much the evaluate of the training needs is still there. The display of the student outcome goals and goal progress measures, we still don't have that, but Mr. Rana was saying that tomorrow morning it'll go up. So that will come off pretty soon. And what else do we have? The LSG implementation and the next board, that's still slightly off track. So that's, hopefully Dr. McMahon can address that soon and it can be completed and out of there. You won't be seeing the strategic plan anymore there because it was completed. Once something is completed, it goes out. Unless it's ongoing, things like reviewing of board policies, that will forever stay in there and so forth. So are there any questions on the governance section? If so, I'll move on to the financial accountability. One of the comments I made, well, we still have the centralized purchasing, but as you all are well aware, presently there are 2 accountant position vacancies there, and there's a leave of absence, an administrative leave. So technically that department is short 3 people. So Mrs. Cancino will be looking and reorganizing, and she's looking to hire 2 accountants really fast. As far as the revenues are concerned, we were actually reworking the template. If you will recall, during the summer when the template was done, there were a lot of unknowns. The local property values were not known, and the state compensatory figures for the census data were not known. That has become available, and so have the property values. So those were updated, and she's pretty much on target with the revenue where it's at, where we don't know too much yet, but she's within 20 ADA of what she projected, which is really good. And we just don't have a firm number for the end of the year because you are what you call a migrant school, which means you get to count the best 4th, 6 weeks out of the whole year. And usually they could be the 2nd through the 5th, which hasn't happened yet, or 1st through the 4th. I think you said last year was first through the fourth?
Yes, and as it stands right now, our worst-case scenario of 1 through 4 would be, we are only under 40 ADA from projection. So when we reworked the template, we were slightly above what we projected on our revenues. So we're on target.
So, yeah.
So hopefully we are able to drop the first 6 weeks, it'll go up. So worst-case scenario, we're only down 20 from our ADA, which still puts us above funding.
Yes, so that's really good. The next is the academic accountability. And at the time when I was reviewing all of this, they were just in cycle 2, and that was proving, what I saw, that was proving to be more challenging. And because of one, there was new subject matter for the students, and the goal had also gone up. So it continues to be very challenging, but curriculum and instruction is monitoring closely and doing and recommending interventions wherever necessary. And the very last one, which is under general activities, is where I address the health insurance. And I was very glad to see that you had a workshop last week. And hopefully, we will continue to have those quarterly so that we can start looking into the cost-cutting measures on that, so that we can avoid the $4.4 million transfer that happened last year and all of the prior years. So that's my report. Any questions?
Not questions, just basically a comment. I know you said that the under academic accountability that it appears to be very challenging. However, I do want to add that if proper interventions are done accordingly and timely, and if our students are given multiple opportunities to practice what has not been learned, there is no excuse for our scores not to go up.
I
if
agree.
things are done properly,
You're right. And
regardless.
They are addressing that.
And-
100%, I agree.
And second of all, on the TASB report, I think if I recall correctly, they indicated that we had one extra accountant. So I don't know where the extra accountant is in the district, but I know the TASB report indicated one extra accountant in the district.
Yeah, I think we have to, and I think you're correct, but we need to go back and double check. I think, didn't we lose?
We have,
last-
well, when they counted,
I think they
accountants-
counted everybody together. They put
Correct.
every accounting, like not just the business office. I think we had, because we had the couple of department, right, Ms. Cancino?
We have
But
an
we'll go back
accountant
and
in
check
federal
if that's
programs,
what
and
you
we
want.
have another one in risk management, I believe.
Right. I just want to make sure that we're fair and consistent. If we
Correct.
did it with the teachers, we did it with everybody, that we're just
Correct.
consistently fair with everybody.
And we'll
That's
go
it.
back and check that. That's a good point.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Romeros. Next, we have discussion of board self-evaluation by Dr. McMahon.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good.
I just want to start off with saying, what a joy it was into your discussion revolving around your goal 3 this evening. The questions and comments and suggestions that you guys provided are truly at a very high level of knowledge for school board members and what you are trying to achieve for your students. So kudos for such a wonderful discussion. Is it possible, because I can't see the screen that you guys are showing, is it possible to pull up the framework starting with Vision 1 on the screen so people either watching the video or in the audience can see what Vision 1 is? I believe all of you received TEA over the last several months, have done some major revisions to the LSG manual and indicators under each section of the framework. I commend Donna ISD for doing a self-evaluation. The research shows that when boards do a self-evaluation on their adult behaviors, student achievement drastically increases. And I think you're going to see some of that tonight as we go through. So, board members, if you have a copy of Vision 1 in the new manual, it's on page 16. Do you all have that?
That's the new one.
15?
Vision 1's on 16.
It's over there.
What do you notice when you look at Vision 1 that looks different from what we've been used to looking at in the past? And just look at it aesthetic-wise.
The landscape, it has squares now?
Yeah, it's more of a little bit of, you know, are these things going in place? And as we go through each one of these sections of the framework, you're going to notice some things that we have always talked about are no longer there because they're flowing into some other places and recommendations from coaches. So as you look at Vision 1, I have some scoring from some of the people. And Trustee Del Rio, I apologize, your attachment didn't come through. So I'm just curious from Watts, Trustee Mary, Trustee Guerrero, and Del Rio, when you're looking at Vision 1, where would you rate the district as of now, as of today? And I'll give you a hint, you can forget preparing to focus and approaches focus because you are beyond that. Just looking at meets and masters.
I did too.
I put 12.
I did too.
12.
Trustee Guerrero, where would you put?
What was that again?
Where would you score Donna ISD, either meets focus or masters focus? And remember, you have to have all of the indicators to score yourself in that area.
What did she say?
Mr. Guerrero, where would you put us?
At 12.
Yes, he put
12?
meets focus.
Yeah, meets focus.
Trustee Watts?
12.
Which number are we on? Because I can't hear him. It's
Vision 1. Vision 1, Robert, I'm sorry. Or Trustee Perez, I apologize. Trustee Mary?
Not here.
Not here.
Okay, then I won't ask that anymore. And Trustee Del Rio?
12.
12 meets focus.
Okay. Trustee Perez actually had a little bit different score. I think if, I'm just going to ask, Trustee Valdez, you gave a score of 12. Why did you not give a score of 15?
I guess because on the master's focus, there's one word that kind of, I wasn't quite sure that we were there, where it says broad community ownership.
That's exactly
Right.
why I didn't put us at 15 as well.
And I know that you guys are doing some community meetings, correct?
That's correct, yes.
But you haven't done them all yet, right?
Right.
Are you going to have them all finished within the next 3 months?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we could say that by the time we finish all of our community meetings, do you think at that point you could feel comfortable with a broad community focus?
I guess the word broad could be up to interpretation to different people. Like to me, broad means like really broad. Like you're doing this like for 3 weeks in a row, back to back every day at every parental involvement meeting, at every campus, at every function. Just to me, that's broad.
So if you scored, the majority of you scored yourself a 12, and knowing that in 3 months you might not still reach that broad, where would you score yourself 3 months from now? Would you still give yourself a 12?
In 3 months from now?
Uh-huh.
I would think we would be at 15.
Ideas from other people?
Yeah, we'd be at 15.
I can't predict until I get there, I guess.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dr. Valdez. For me, broad community ownership feels like some folks would be talking about it. And I don't know if, I don't know if that will, the 3 community, spaces that we have will quite get us there. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, by now, Alicia,
Say again?
where are we at?
We're talking about the difference between the meets focus and master's focus on Vision 1.
We'll be there in 3 months. Do you think we'll be there in 3 months?
Yeah, I thought about that as well, and I agree, although I do agree with you both on the broad piece of that information. However, broad, as Dr. Valdez just pointed out, can be very broad. However, to me, broad means that we were able, us as a group, come together and voice to the community our communication piece. And so we are broadening, at least from my perspective, broadening our vision and our perspective to the community as we do community engagement. As we move on, obviously, we should have more of these, I believe, in the next few months, to where we are targeting specifically something that I think would meet the 15th, but to me still the 15th regardless. That's the way I look at it. Because we were able to meet a goal that we set out as a group, that we were to be able to communicate with our community, and we have done that, and we'll continue to do that, at least for the remainder of the year.
Okay, so you have a couple of options here. I agree with the 12 because of that statement of broad. For your next quarter goal, you have the option of saying, we're going to strive for 15, knowing that it might take more work than what we can get done in 3 months, and if we make 15, we make 15. If we don't, we don't. So what are your thoughts about scoring where you think you would like to be next month? Where would you like to be next month? I mean, next quarter.
I mean, if we're talking about striving, of course, we're going to strive for 15. We're going to try to reach that magical 15. Once we get all these community meetings done, get more people involved. I know that the numbers at the meetings have progressed. I know that the first meeting that we had, the numbers were not as large. And I don't know who had the last meeting. Ms. Valdez, did you have it?
Yes, we did.
What was the number of people in attendance?
I would say it was a little bit, I guess it wasn't what I anticipated.
Okay, so.
That's just, because I'm used to seeing like a full.
The full house.
Like a full cafeteria.
Yeah, but maybe, we probably need to do a little bit better job in the publicizing of the
Or the marketing.
It's in the marketing that we need to improve on, because that's where I think we're failing right now.
So I think, like, if you tell the parents you're coming in, but we're having your kids present, then you're gonna get, so, that's where we go in and do our presentation, and then the kids can do their own little, because that really draws the parents in, when kids present, and I haven't seen that in any other campus.
Yeah, like the early college, high school informational, that could have been a good opportunity to talk about our vision and goals. Now, in hindsight, now that I'm thinking about it, because that room was packed.
150, yeah.
Yeah, that room was packed, and so that would have been good, maybe opportunity. I hadn't thought about that until this moment.
The next one, just I didn't mean to interrupt. The next one is the 24th of March. The next community.
Right after spring break.
Yeah, after spring break. So we'll start now advertising, I guess, for the event.
Who's the one that's presenting that next one?
I'm Mary.
You?
And me, yeah. Both those will be up there now.
Mr. De Los Rios and Dr. Mary.
Okay.
One of the things that you might want to consider is, in terms of providing evidence, look at how many meetings you've done in the past, and what was the attendance, cumulative attendance, and how many have you done in the next 3 months? And what is the evidence of the increase of outreach to your community? And was that increase significant enough at the end of the next quarter, say, heck yeah, we are at 15, or yeah, we still are at 12. We've made great strides, but we still have work to do.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with next quarter scoring a goal of trying to hit 15, but knowing that it might be close, but it might not be there. But that is your preference. For next quarter, where would you like to put yourself, 12 or 15?
I mean, I'm fine with.
Ask a question?
Yes.
I can't hear
she
very
was-
well what she's saying.
Yeah, she was saying, if, what we think should be our goal for next quarter, to stay at 12 or strive for 15?
I mean, it's,
I'd rather look at my goal for the whole page than individually.
Yeah, I'm the same way. There's some other things that I feel like, can we come back to that? Instead of goal by goal, Dr. McMahon, can we go through the whole thing and then say what might be the 1 or 2 areas that we should focus in on?
Oh, absolutely. So we'll just go through each one of the sections of the framework, and then we'll come back and go to where do we think we're going to go for next steps. How does
Yes.
that work?
How's that,
Okay.
Dr. Valdez?
That's perfect.
Okay, so if everybody would turn their attention to Vision 2, this is with the GPMs. Again, keep your focus on meets and masters. Alicia, you scored it as a 12. Why did you score it as a 12?
For the same reason in the broad community ownership, that the same reason that we just talked about for the previous vision.
Trustee Del Rio, Trustee Watts, and Trustee Guerrero, do you agree with
yes,
Trustee Reyna?
yes, I do.
David, again, you scored it at a 15. What are your thoughts about rescoring it with the majority and leaving it as a 12, based upon this discussion?
Well, I always try to aim high, but I guess, we can work it out and bring it down to the 12. But
Okay, and Trustee Perez? Is he still there?
Oh, he's there.
He's in
Robert,
Paris.
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, I just can't hear what she's saying. I can hear you guys clearly, but I just can't hear her.
We're looking at Vision
Oh,
2.
he can't hear her. You
Okay,
can't hear Dr. McMahon?
Well, I can hear you guys clearly, but I can't hear her.
Well, I've never been told I haven't been heard.
I don't know how to fix that, Mr. Perez.
Go ahead and.
Trustee Reyna, would you
Yeah.
restate the question for Trustee Perez?
What did you score Vision 2, Mr. Perez?
15.
15, and is it for the same thing that you were talking about before, your rationale of broad community ownership, or is something different?
No, the same thing, and the reason I put both of 15, it goes back to what it was supposed to be originally. When we went before on the last evaluation, we said it would be a 15 if we were to have the communication piece established. So in my mind, you said, we went back on semantics to me. Semantics being the words are being used today versus what we were evaluating previously. Previously, we said it was a 12 because we did not have the communication piece. Now we have the communication piece. Now we're saying we're not a 15 yet because we have not completed the process. To me, I think we're wrong. For me, if we're going to be, every second that the TA changes something on the books, does that mean we have to be reactive every time to a change? I don't think so. I think we should be evaluating based on what we said originally of communicating with our community.
That language was on the previous versions, but what I hear you, Mr. Perez, what I hear you saying is like, we thought that in setting out the community meetings that we would that would move us progressively enough forward. I honestly don't, I'm not splitting hairs on if we're 12 or 15. I'd rather look at the whole thing and say, as a board, where are we prioritizing moving forward? Like, for me, this doesn't feel, I agree with you too, Mr. Perez. I'm not splitting hairs on that kind of.
My comment on this is, I think I'm gonna respect the average of all board members as a reflection or an evaluation of where we are. When we look at the in number, the average, then we can go back as a board and say, these are the areas maybe that we need to work on, and these others are pretty strong.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm going to score you guys as a 12 on that with the aggregate from the group. All right, let's go on to Vision 3, which is on to your constraints. And again, I would like for you to focus on the meets and masters. I see Perez and Valdez scored a 10. I'd like to hear from Watts, Guerra, and Del Rio. How would you score it?
I scored mine a 10 as well.
He said 10.
Okay. Trustee Watts, Trustee Guerra, where would you put it?
I would score it as a 10.
A 10.
Yeah.
Trustee Watts.
She's in the restroom.
Oh, she's coming back.
Oh, okay. Trustee Reyna, you scored it.
Dr. McMahon has my numbers, so she can share those with you guys as well, because I can't hear
Yes,
her.
Perez also scored it as a 10. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Trustee Reyna, you scored a 9. What was it that, is it still that broad community?
It was just I know we've adopted a theory of action. I just don't know if we all really understand what that means and how that influences our decisions as a board. That's the only reason why I put 9. I mean, I'm fine with it being 10.
Okay,
that
but
sounds like the
let's-
majority of people put 10.
Yeah. So let's make a concerted effort over the next 3 months that we continually refer back to a theory of action and how does what we're doing, how does this align to our theory of action? That's a behavior and a discussion that you can have at your board meetings when you're making decisions. How does this align to our theory of action? Maybe a discussion. I know we're trying to schedule some ISO training for you guys. And so that might be one thing that I add in that ISO training is the review and discussion of theory of action so we can make sure we're hitting that. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go on to Vision 4, which is the constraint progress measures. Trustee Guerrero, how would you score that, a 4 or a 5?
I would say a 4.
Is Trustee Watts back yet?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Trustee Watts, what would you say?
I put a 5.
You put 5?
Yes, ma'am.
And David, yours was a
Mine was a 4.
4? I'm sorry I keep asking you. I couldn't get it to print. I apologize.
It's all right.
So the majority of you have a 4, and Trustee Watts has a 5. And I think we've kind of talked about maybe it's that broad community work with understanding of what a constraint progress measure is. And so one of the things that I can add in our next discussion is looking at the community work and how are we emphasizing what a constraint progress measure is and that they understand, because your constraints are not SMART, but your CPMs are, and how it's a measurement of where you're moving with that. So I agree. Are you all comfortable with a 4?
Yeah, Dr.
Yes.
McMahon, you know what's throwing me off? I guess maybe because I'm used to seeing structure, like I see verbiage in all of the areas, but on the last one, I don't see verbiage. Like, for example, on the first one, it says the board is treating, the board has adopted, the board owns, the board has adopted, the board will, agree that CPMs will challenge, and I don't see that verb in the last one, and I think that's what throws me off too.
Agree? Is it that one? All board members, superintendent agree there's broad community? That we agree?
It's not a verb, it's not like a, I don't know, it's just the wording is not, something's wrong with that wording.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because even the previous one says they agree that they will challenge, and that's what you're saying, like, that yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right, I will take that comment back to TEA. Thank you, Dr. Valdez. I appreciate that.
All right, accountability
All right.
1.
Moving along, accountability 1. Isn't it nice to know that you guys are just really focusing on the last 2 sections of this framework? Remember a year ago where we were putting it? Look at how much you have transformed your work. Really impressed. So this one is about the amount of time. So this one, someone's gonna have to refer to Trustee Perez because he's been doing the cumulative tracker. And over the last 3 months, just the basic question is, are you at 50% or not?
So Mr. Perez, accountability 1, I know you've been doing our time tracker. Where did you score us? Because essentially,
Well, I scored us at 12. And the reason I scored us at 12 is because we have not done the data for our staff. I know we've done my part, our part. However, the data for the staff has not been done correctly, and it has not been evaluated, at least not by me.
Data for staff is on a different section. So knowing that we're going to come to that in just a minute, ask Trustee Perez on over the last 3 months, what was the percentage that the board spent their time on student outcome goals?
okay, Mr. Perez, over the last 3 months, what was the overall percentage of time that the board spent on student outcome goals?
Was it over 50%?
Right now, it's over 50%. I don't have the exact data.
No,
I know
it
it's
wasn't about
50%. From last quarter, we had 72 average.
70-something.
Over the last quarter?
Yeah, 72%.
Yep, so based on that data from the last quarter, then we'd be at master's focus.
Right. Yes.
I agree. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Awesome.
I feel like I'm translating here.
Thank you. Okay,
You're doing a good job.
Accountability 2, this one is all about evaluating the progress and not modifying your GPMs, CPMs. I'm looking at some of the scores that were presented, and I think the highest was meets focus, but a couple were still at approaches focus. So Trustee Perez made a very good point that in order to score yourself a 4, you have to have a report of the staff use tracker. And he just told us that he does not have that. Is that correct?
Correct.
So based upon that piece of information alone, where would accountability 2 be scored?
Approaches.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. No. Because
So remember, you have to have everything.
well, no, because when I'm looking at approaches, we've met everything on approaches.
Yeah, that's why you get 2.
That's why we would be at 4.
No, approaches is 2 on accountability 2.
To be at 4, we'd have to get everything under 4.
That's where.
Oh, we haven't done that.
Oh, I see, okay.
Is everybody clear on that?
Yep, and Dr. McMahon, Mr. Pettis said that you made a good point, that you made a note of the staff use tracker, and that was second box there, and true.
Who was responsible for doing that part? That, keeping track of. Oh,
Have we
administration?
only done that like maybe a couple times?
How many times?
I think we did a couple times, but we can,
But-
This is only annually.
anyway, that's what I'm saying.
No, they've done it only twice. We did it once together, but we did not go back. I was supposed to give them some additional help, and this is on me, because we had not really sat down with Dr. McMahon to discuss that piece. We discussed hours, but we did not discuss the staff time usage. That was another part that we will discuss when I get back with Dr. McMahon and along with
You want me to tell you something though, that one, and I guess maybe this is what I was thinking when I gave it a 4, this one is not even an issue for Don ISD. We don't request so much information that the staff has to spend so much time running and printing reports for us, other than the board meetings. I don't even think it's an issue for Donna.
Yeah, and therefore doing a
And I would
staff
agree.
tracker will be minimal work. It's not going to take a lot of time for them to do that, as opposed to what I've seen in some other districts.
And I agree. I don't think it's an issue, and we won't know for certain until we see the data. And so if we think about, it may not be an issue right now, if we think about putting this into best practices of governance, we want to make sure that continues to not be an issue, right? So if the board looks at the data annually, then they can assess if is it becoming an issue? Was it an issue, you know? Just because it's not an issue now may not mean it could become an issue in the future, but this is setting up a systemic way of monitoring that.
It used to be a major issue, major, but it's not.
And the interesting thing with the staff use tracker is you as a board could sit there and go, well, I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's an issue. And then you look over at the staff people and sometimes they're going, So it's a way for you guys to collaboratively look at the behaviors of the board. And are you as a board reading this correctly that you don't think is it as an issue, but does the data reflect that?
Mm-hmm.
And my recommendation to the staff is, because it's an annual report, don't wait until the end of the year to try to do it. You know, keep track of it as you go, because it's so much easier to keep track of it incrementally than it is to sit down and do all of your homework for a semester course the night before your final. Okay.
Dr. Z, is there a simple way of, like, you know how when folks submit this page right here on the very front for the board agenda item?
No. You go to your
know where I'm
how
going.
much time, how much
Just
time you
add a box of like how many hours did you spend?
How much
And
we
so
did.
that would be collected over
Now we're
time.
giving them more work
We'll
by
modify
doing
it.
that. I
No,
don't
but
agree.
everyone submits this anyway.
I don't agree in giving people more work. Okay, now you gotta figure out how much time it's taking you to do this. You need to understand that that's not done by one person, it's done by multiple people in the district. So for example, HR takes care of HR stuff, and so CFO takes care of CFO, so it's not like one person doing it all. So when you split it in that manner, it's
People
not
wouldn't be
really.
able to determine how many hours went into the one agenda item.
I'm just saying, I don't wanna have them do more work, cause now you're gonna add more to.
Well, it's not so much
To the
like what it
paperwork.
is that.
Let's not figure this stuff out right now. Let's do, myself and Terry and Dr. Maban figure that out between all of us,
Okay.
all three of us, and we'll come back to you guys.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah, there's some, just note, the only difference between meets and masters is 1 point. So is the cost of having the people do this additional work worth 1 point in Lone Star governance or not? If you all don't see it's an issue, you know, if you're doing everything in master's focus, just know that you're doing everything in master's focus, but you're not making staff do that time. That's an option. 1 point's 1 point. That's something for you guys to consider. But please let Trustee Perez know that I have listed that on my things to address when I come back down later on this month, okay?
Mm-hmm. The other reason why I put us at approaches was the part about the superintendent evaluation. This last evaluation we did, it was in part on results in progress, versus the one on masters would exclusively on results in progress towards the student outcome goals. So that was one of the differences. We may choose to do that differently this next time around, but that was some of my rationale for why I had us at approaches.
That was
That's a
identical
good
to mine.
point. Thank you, Trustee Reyna. Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree with
Okay.
Ms. Reyna on that one. That was my rationale too, on that one.
Okay, let's look at the next one, structure. The board operates in a way that allows the superintendent to accomplish your vision. Again, I'd like you to focus on the meets and masters. I have a couple of people with 15. I have a couple with 12. Trustee Watts, where would you put this board on this particular structure of the framework?
15.
And Trustee Guerrero, where would you put yourself?
15.
15. Trustee Reyna, what do you feel is missing in master's focus?
I just didn't know if we were truly averaging time of 2 hours per meeting and averaging 3 meetings a month, and then particularly an average of 3 topics, other topics per meeting? Because last board meeting, it felt like it was more.
Yeah, but that was just his last meeting.
Oh, okay, so.
Remember,
that's
it's an
the only
average
reason.
over a 3-month period.
Oh, okay, so, I mean, that was the only thing I wasn't for sure of. I didn't like have hard data on all those 3, which I guess if I had the hard data on it, I knew, then I'd be convinced it's 15.
Okay, so this is another area that I can, if you'll tell Trustee Perez, that we will discuss how to provide evidence of this. So it makes it either a yes or no.
The time in executive is not counted, so if you're considering that, I don't count time in executive. The only time that we count is time that we're outside and we're talking other things that is other. In a time tracker, we track all that data, but we don't count what's in our executive meeting. That is not counted against us. So if we were to spend 2 hours in executive, that would not count in our session.
And Robert, is it true that we have an average of 3 other topics per meeting other than the monitoring of student? Are we about at that, do you know?
Yes, we discussed it at the average of 2.
Okay.
In the last, at least in the last quarter, we discussed three subjects in one of the sessions we've had, but other than that, no.
Okay, got it, thank you.
And just for clarity purposes, like I know that you've been having, you recently had the TAPER report presentation. You had some budget updates that you had to do in February that were required in statute. Those also do not count in your time as well. So, you're doing a lot of work. You're spending a lot of time doing a lot of things, but it's understanding and knowing what counts and what doesn't count. We'll talk about the time tracker in a minute because TEA has also revised the time tracker where it used to be only student outcome goals. Only student outcome goals. That was it. That was done. How much time did you spend on it? Now they're kind of retracting that to conversations like this. Well, you're putting your work in Lone Star Governance. We're having these conversations. Why would this time count against us if we're doing what is in best practices and research for student achievement? So there's been in some of the time tracking that Robert and I will get together and we'll be sharing with you guys at a later date so you can see those adjustments. So the next one is advocacy. This one, I want you to look at the last 3, approaches, meets, and masters. Because I've got some numbers that are kind of all over the place. Trustee Del Rio, where did you score yourself on this one?
On approaches, 3, refocus, 9, masters, 15.
Okay. Trustee Watts, what would you say?
On the 15.
On a,
I'm sorry,
advocacy.
I'm sorry.
On
That's,
advocacy?
On advocacy, that's a 10. I have a 10.
And Trustee Garrett, where would you put?
9.
And why would you put 9?
I have a 10 as
opposed
well in
to-
advocacy.
Because, on that last one where it says newly selected board members have been receiving orientation, well, yes. Yeah, I'm gonna change it to 10. I guess.
Okay, Trustee Valdez, you said 9. Why did you choose 9 instead of 10?
Because I don't think we've included students in the Lone Star Governance training, have we? Not that I'm aware of. So for that reason.
Can everybody agree to that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's look between the difference of 9 and 3. And I think the answer to this question was just answered in the conservator's report.
Right, that's correct.
She did.
So what am I referring to between 9 and 3?
That it should be a 3 because we don't have the goals and GPMs displayed.
Very good. Oh my gosh, you all are top of the class.
Well, and the one that says led or co-led at least one training on Lone Star governance, are we considering the community meetings as leading that's, I wouldn't give us that one either.
Because you didn't do it, right?
No.
Right, we haven't done that.
But that's something that we can plan for over the next 3 months, don't you think?
You did that. You did one, but not everybody did it. I think that's what we're trying to say, Ms. Randall.
Okay, so let's go to the last
No,
one.
one more question, Dr. McMahon.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's the other thing. I wouldn't put us at a 10 because this one says newly selected board member received an orientation prior to being seated. We haven't yet done that one either.
Well, we can't because there hasn't been elections.
Yeah, that's not gonna be till after November.
So that one's kind of like null and void in like in the in between. But
Yes,
we can still
but-
plan for that between now and the next election.
Well, I guess we can do.
So this is a good point, if you'll indulge me just a little bit, because this is an excellent point when you're looking at, okay, where are we this quarter? We said we are at three. Where do you think we can be next quarter? You have to choose between 9 or 10. Are you having an election in the next 3 months?
No.
No.
No, so can you be at a 10 by next quarter?
No.
Okay, so we've already just did that one and marked that but can we be at a 9 in the next quarter, in the next 3 months, if we put our displays up and host an LSG community session?
Yes, that would put us at a 9.
Right. Okay, let's look at the last one. This one is Unity, working collaboratively with the superintendent. Trustee Del Rio, where did you score yourself? Or the board?
I did a 9, I did a 3 for approaches, and then for me,
3?
focus, I did a 9.
Okay.
Or which one or
Which
the
one
other?
is it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm just going based off the information, it's a 9.
9?
Yeah.
And Trustee Watts?
10.
And Trustee Guerrero?
9.
I would like to refer to Trustee Perez, who also scored a 9. And I would like to ask him why, if it was a 9, why did he think it was not a 10?
Mr. Perez, on Unity, you scored it a 9. Dr. McMahon, if you could share why you didn't score it a 10, why you didn't score it at Masters for Unity.
For Unity, I think that if I'm not mistaken, the reason I didn't put a 10 was we had a, oh my gosh, let me see in here. Give me a second.
The last one.
There's some laws. Are we waiting on somebody?
Oh, Robert?
Yes, he
Yes.
was looking at his
He's looking in his locker.
Remember that combination?
Well, the reason I didn't is because we agreed that no board member has given operational advice or instructions to staff members during the previous 3 months. And the only reason I didn't give us a 10 is because Ms. Romero's had already advised on there that we'd have during the attestation. Do you recall that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
That's the only reason. Other than that, I would have scored ourselves a 15. Obviously, it's not there, but
Okay, so I agree. So now that takes us down to 9.
That's the only reason.
Focus.
So I didn't give us credit for the one that says all members have adhered to all policies governing board operating procedures, just because we're in the midst of creating our board operating procedures. That's why I didn't give us credit for that one.
And could somebody look
Well,
at
we
the,
are adhering to all the policies, so to me, that covers that. I did not separate that difference.
look at the last indicator.
I think we have.
Yep, you're talking about the board rather than the superintendent led the completion of Lone Star governance tasks?
I think we've got a really good start with Trustee Perez doing the time tracker analysis.
Yep.
But you know, other tasks related to Lone Star governance, because I will tell you, you are in year 3, and this is the year of transition for this board. And tonight's session is modeling this discussion and this thinking process for you, because in 3 months, I will not be leading this. I will be observing, and who should be leading this discussion.
We're gonna nominate Colonel Perez.
We nominated Mr.
You nominate the guy
Yes, I
that's
can't
out of
hear,
the
I cannot hear
country.
Dr. McMahon.
So Dr. McMahon said, this is a year of transition. And so 3 months from now, when we do the board self-eval, she's not going to be leading the conversation, because this was just modeling how it can go. And then she asked the question, who would be leading the conversation? And we all nominated you.
Oh, very nice. The guy is not, almost.
Tell him that's what he gets for going to France.
Yeah.
That's what you get for going to France.
No problem, I can do that.
So that is the one that is the one indicator that kind of
Très bien, madame, très bien.
that is the one that kind of leaves me hanging, because I think in the next 3 months that we can transition more to board taking on some of the roles of some of this. You've got a great start with the time tracker, but also we've got work to do on the staff time tracker. We've got work to do in some of these other areas. So,
Marcia, ideally, I think that any one of us should be able to lead the charge on the board self-evaluation, not just one,
Right.
throw all the responsibility on Robert, but I think that any one of us, then it shouldn't be the president, the vice president, it should be, any one of us should be able to take the bull by the horns and lead the charge on this one.
I totally agree. And so one thing that you as a board may want to consider, and this is what we have done with some other districts, is we have assigned a specific section of the framework to each different school board member.
Although I do agree, can I speak?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, go for it.
Well, I do agree with Val. I mean, everyone can take action on running this piece. However, from Robert's rules, I would recommend that the president decide that piece and decide who. The only reason I say is who is because there's a lot of data that's got to be tracked and in the information process, obviously. And most of it, obviously, is being tracked by me right now. Unless somebody else wants to pick the helm, and I'll be glad to give it away. You can take the tracking piece. I can definitely share it. And that way it's easy for any board member to pick up.
Here's what my suggestion might be, is that as we go through our ISO training, because we're going to be able to go through ISO training very, very quickly, because you are at such a high level advanced board compared to what's required.
Otherwise, I'll accept.
I think we can just add that to our discussion about how are we going to do future self-evaluations, and what will that look like, and we can make that decision in that workshop. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Pettis, Dr. McMahon said we can also take it to our ISO training and have a discussion about how we're going to run future self-evals. I mean, I feel like the board's all in agreement that Robert, we're fine with Robert leading the discussion.
He got the award.
I feel like we're good with that.
Yeah, we're gonna put a time limit to it also.
Yeah.
This takes too long.
There's also an idea to have one person.
No problem. We can do that easy because I can do the numbers and then I can just discuss the highlights.
Yeah, and we can send him, and just a note, what'll make it go faster, Mr. Pettis, which I messed up on this, I don't know, my brain. For some reason, I blanked on the process we used last time, but if all of us send him our data ahead of time, he can look all the numbers, he can drive the discussion, it will go more quickly in that way.
Exactly, that's good.
Thank you for accepting, Colonel.
No problem.
Okay, so is everybody comfortable with approaches
No problema,
focused for
Jose.
unity?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, that gives you a grand total of moving forward. I think our previous one that we did was 51 points to now a total of 76. And I think that gives you guys a huge hand for that. That is tremendous. Now, our next discussion, and it should go quite very quickly, is going back to framework 1. Where do you want to say you want to be next month? What's your goal? A goal, it doesn't mean that you're going to get your hand slapped if you don't achieve it, but what's your goal for Vision 1? You were at 12. Where do you think you'll be in 3 months?
Do we need to set a goal for each portion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because if you will look on page 25 of this manual, this is the page that I'm filling out right now. And I'll go back and fill in the 1 quarter, 2 quarter, 3 quarters. Right now I'm working on the current quarter and next quarter. So I've got current quarter based upon what you say. We just need to go down the next quarter column.
So, Mr. Pettis, her question is, what goals do we want to set for each section for this next quarter?
The goal is the only one that I can see right now is the last one, since we all scored it, for the majority of us scored a 9, some of us scored a 10. But on the accountability 2, we should be there at beat masters. I'm sorry.
So you say accountability 2 and unity. Those were the those would be the 2 that we'd focus on moving forward.
Yes.
Going to the master's level?
That's because advocacy is already ongoing, it's already working. There's no need to change anything there. The vision has already been established. The only difference now for us is to establish the other 2 goals that are forthcoming that Mr. Arana has already completed. And we need to just get together and say, yes, this is what we want.
Yeah, so the only ones you really have to look at are Vision 1, Vision 2, Vision 3, and Vision 4.
So this is what I would propose based on what Mr. Pettis just said, that everything stays the same except for these 2. Accountability 2, we'd go from approaches to masters.
Okay.
And then for unity, we'd go from approaches to
masters.
Masters?
Yes.
And everything else stays the same as the current quarter?
Correct.
Okay. Excellent job, everybody. So if we stay on track where you can expect yourself to be in 3 months, would be at a 92. Thoughts?
All right.
Okay, so what I will do is I will put this document together and I will send it to Terry. If you will look on page 25. What you all will need to do is make a motion to approve this time tracker as we just reviewed it. And then I will put this together and send it to Terry to collect signatures and send to TEA.
It's discussion. It's only discussion.
It's only a discussion item. Okay, so then can we put it on the board agenda for next month for
Yes, absolutely. We can
consent
do that.
agenda approved?
Yes. Yes, we can do that.
Yes.
Okay, so that will be our next step is I will put the documents together and we'll put it on the next agenda item for approve in April and then send it to TEA.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Any other questions? And Dr. A, we're working on a date.
Yes, I will be talking with our board members to select, solidify the date, because I know we want to be together, all of us, because we want to also get the team of 8 credit.
Awesome. All right, well, just get back with me on that. Other than that, I think my section is done. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. McMahon. Okay, where are we going next? Next item.
We're done?
Yep, we're
Okay.
good.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next, the time is 7:51. We're going into executive session. It's authorized by the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, .072, .073, .074, .075, .076, .082, .083, and .084. We're going to executive session. Executive session to A, discussion of superintendent's recommendation of personnel, recommendation for professionals to include hire and termination recommendations, update of district personnel. Let's discuss in executive session.
I make the motion to approve the discussion of superintendent's recommendation of personnel as discussed in executive session.
Motion made by Dr. Valdez,
Second.
second by Ms. Reina. Mr. De Los Rios, how do you
All in
vote?
favor?
Mr. Guerrero?
This was on the personnel issue, right?
This is on the first one, on A. And I also vote in
favor.
favor.
Oh.
And Robert?
Favor.
And I also vote in favor, and motion passes. Number 2B, discussion of level 3 grievance of Estela Guerrero, Daniel Lopez, Maribel Castañeda, Ricardo Perez, and Maria Paz. No action. C, discussion and private consultation with attorney regarding pending or complicated litigation, settlement matters, and/or matters where the professional duty under state board requires private consultation with the school attorney. No action. The time is 8:39. I need a motion to.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. De Los Rios, second by Dr. Valdez.
In favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Perez.
I also vote in favor, and motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
Terry.